Ladies and gents, so I'm coming with this video, the things that I've learned at 2022 that has changed my life. To be frank, 2022 has been one of the biggest turning point and pivotal moment of my life, and eventually I want to look back at it. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I just know it's going to be valuable for a lot of you guys, and if you stick around, you're gonna get a lot of nuggets on what I have learned here on how I was able to get into 10k months, and now I'm hitting 10k weeks, which is kind of insane looking back how when I was around this very moment, January, I literally only had a couple $100 in my bank account. I think I was also in debt. I just didn't know what I was gonna do, so I think this video, it's just a reflection on what has happened at 2022 and the things that I've learned to be able to grow. And I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm nowhere near close to my goal. I'm nowhere near to the perfect version of myself. I'm nowhere near to my highest value, to my fullest potential. I just do think that having a reflection like this, a video where you could explain some of your emotions, some of the things that you've gone through, and looking back at it, would be very valuable on the people like who is starting this journey. A lot of you guys, I've talked to hundreds of people like you that are, to be frank, are not in the right place right now, and I want to help you guys out. The entire thing for this YouTube channel is to be able to get you guys out of the matrix. That's my main mission. So I'm 20 years old. If you guys don't know me, I'm Elijah, 20-year-old kid. I was born and raised in Philippines, and I moved in America when I was around 2013. And to be frank, I would have never thought that I would be making this video. I would have never thought that I would be in the same situation I'm in, where I'm able to have a lot of potential, where I could actually grow and expand my wings, per se, right? So very first thing I want to share you guys, the lesson I've learned at the very beginning of the year is chasing happiness will keep you broke, unhappy, and complacent. So at the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey, I would always think about what are the things that will make me happy? What are the things that can help me move forward where I'm satisfied, right? But that's a wrong connotation and a wrong belief that I had holding on, and it didn't really help me. It didn't help me grow a lot. It didn't help me get to where I want to become, and in return, which made me more miserable. So what I did is I had to psychoanalyze what are the things that I'm doing right now, or the things that I must do to be able to actually become of a man of a value, right? So do what you need. So this is what I wrote down. Do what you need to do at the very moment, not what you want to do. A lot of you guys are looking at the things that you desire to do, but the problem with that is you are starting from scratch. You need to build a good foundation, and sometimes a lot of things that you need to do to build a good foundation is to start from scratch where the things that you need to do, not the things that you want to do. Because most of the times, the things that you want to do is actually almost not beneficial for you. It's almost detrimental to your growth, actually. It's not something that a lot of you guys right now are probably spending a lot of times with people that you don't truly enjoy spending times around, right? So beginning of the year, I was in a space where I had to just detach from my emotions and to the outcome, because I was not seeing any results for months. To be honest, for almost a year, there was no results coming in. There was nothing. I was grinding out day in, day out. Last year I was still with my parents, so overhead was not a problem. But earlier this year, I had to actually get a job to support and get, to pay for the roof over my head. And that really put a lot of pressure on me, because I had to sold all of my investments. I had to do all these things to actually just get to the position where I can actually even think peacefully. Like having a peace of mind earlier this year for me was very slim. There was not a time when I was very peaceful. And my parents was asking, "Hope you're doing well. Are you going back to college? Are you, what are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, what are you doing with your life?" Right? So there was just that moment where earlier of this year it was a lot of like digging deep and figuring out what I must need to do to get out of this situation. And you know, I just needed to dig deep through. So I had to detach on the whole notion, the whole big picture of, oh, you just need to be happy, right? So that was one of the biggest things that I've learned this year. Is, I mean, last year, 2022, was being happy is not the main goal. The main goal is, what do you need to do right now at this very moment for you to be able to sustain your living and to be able to provide. But that's the first step. First lesson I've learned at 2022 is you must do what you need to do, not what you want to do. Okay, the second lesson I've learned last year was you need to master a skill, a high income skill that will produce you a lot of money. Right now, at this very moment right now, I've tried at this point a lot of business models in the past. I've tried dropshipping, I've tried marketing agency, I've tried having a day trading routine, I've read charts, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, crypto, all those things, flipping, right? Two main things I was very heavy on was dropshipping and marketing agency. It's not bad. It's not a bad idea, but that's the things that I learned is you actually, if you want to go further or faster, you need to learn a high income skill first. It's either copywriting, sales, which is what I've gone into, sales, and actually doubling down into it till you master that one craft that you have no doubt about it. A lot of people in the online space now will try to sell you this dream that, oh, you can start a business, just get one client, and you have a recurring fee coming in every month, and you got a B2B buyer is going to do the fulfillment. That's complete bullshit. Like, you actually need to still deliver the results. You need to learn on how the know-hows, on how to launch ads, plan a content strategy, and all these things, especially if you're targeting e-commerce brands. It's a lot of headache. It's not easy. For 2K a month, it's almost like not worth it. It's compared to now where I'm like closing deals, like literally for within a week, I could make 2K, or like a day I've made 2K, 10K in the past, just closing. Like, it's nuts the amount of money they could make with a small amount of time frame with no overhead cost and everything as a closer. It's nuts. So that's the main thing I've learned is I actually need to learn a high income skill first. And now I'm building my own business. So there will be a time where you should pivot or should you persevere, right? So it's one of those things that I needed to pivot at that point to figure out things. So that's what I'm talking about from my last saying about the lesson about what do you need to do at this very moment, not what do you want to do, because I wanted to make the business work out. I wanted to make it work out so bad that I was willing to eat nothing for a few days, for a few weeks, to just try to make it work out. It was not very healthy. I was drinking tea. I was just drinking some protein shake, some eggs, like literally nothing. So, and then at one point too, I was thinking, oh, what if we just get a food supply? What if we should just get like that food stamp? So I actually applied for it. I had an interview for it and everything, but I realized if I do that, I'm giving away a piece of me, a piece of power that I'm reliant, that I'm accepting my situation at the very moment. So I'd never done it. I had a lot of argument with my brother about it. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm never going to get it. Why did I even brought it up? I have to make this work out, because if I don't make it work out, when will it work out, right? So that's the one of the pivotal moments too. It's like, sure, I could sacrifice a few days of food compared to like getting that food and complacency and taking away some of your power and like allowing yourself to believe that you are that person, but you are not. You are the one who believes it. So you are the one who puts power into things. So if you put things into a perspective where you accept a certain situation, a certain, conformity, then you believe and your mind reinforces that you are that person. So I did my best to not conform in the situation that I was in earlier last year. So I said, fuck it, I have to make this work out. If not, I'm going to go homeless. I'm going to go live at my car. So that's what I told myself. And that was one of the lessons that I've learned. Also last year is master a skill first before you start a business. Okay. Third thing I've learned is prioritize yourself, be selfish. A lot of guys are like, oh my God, you are mean. Like, why would you be selfish? Here's the thing. A lot of you guys think that having a mindset where you're selfish is a bad thing. Matter of fact, it's very beneficial to the entire society. You might think I'm crazy for saying this, but you need to understand before you can help somebody else, you need to help yourself. You need to be able to put yourself up, and you need to be able to pick yourself up and be able to sustain your daily livings before you help other people. How are you supposed to bring and drag people along you if you're not even in the right state of mind to help other people? How are you supposed to add value in other people's lives if you don't even have any value to give? I've been hearing a lot of these things like Alex Hormozy, give away all the farm. But what is the farm you will give if you don't have any crops planted? What are the farms that you're going to give? What are the fruits you're going to give if your fruits are dead? If all of them, they're not, ripe, what are the things that you're going to give? Nothing. You're not going to give anything. So you need to be selfish. You need to focus on watering that plant, making sure taking care of that fruit so you can actually give it to somebody else. You need to help yourself first. Nothing else matters if you cannot help yourself. You cannot add any value in the society if you cannot help yourself. So that's one of the things that I've learned is I needed to let go of the stigma between like, oh, you're gonna be selfless. Well, like yes, be selfless. Even during those times, I don't really tell this to a lot of people. Like I was literally broke, but I had a couple of dollars and a couple of bucks, right, in my pockets. Like I would still give one to the homeless person. So my analogy in this, getting sidetracked, the reason why I always still give back, or if there's an opportunity to give back and I have a chance to give back, I still do it. It's because I believe, I'm a Christian. I believe God gives, there's just that good, a goodwill bank that builds up throughout the years that I don't know what exactly is the verses in the Bible, but it talks about how if you look away from homeless people, then you have never seen God, or like if you've never given back to God, to the homeless people, you don't love God, or like it's along those lines, or if you give back to the homeless people, God will eventually owe you something. I don't know if I literally forgot about what verse it was, or like it was along those lines, and I just every single moment, if there was an opportunity to give back, just do it. Like, because sure, at that very moment, right, I'm like, I only have a couple $100 in my bank account. I'm worrying about the rent. Like, where am I gonna pay this? I have credit card debt to pay. Like, where am I gonna get the money to pay this? Like every week and hour, I was fucking stressed that like, holy shit, there's so many things I cannot even operate. I don't have a peace of mind. How could you even possibly give back, right? So it's just in a habit that you could build that as well. Maybe it might sound very counterintuitive to what I've just told about being selfish. But if you do have that moment, if you have the ability to do it, just do it. But it doesn't mean that you need to give out like thousands of dollars, right? It's just like a couple dollars here. Maybe you have a piece of food here, give them, because you need to still understand that somewhere out there in part of this entire earth, someone is doing worse than you. Someone's doing much more terrible than you. Their country is currently under war. Maybe their city is currently under siege by a fucking terrorist. you gotta understand that someone out there has a much more miserable life than you, that what you're experiencing. So when I look at it in a macro perspective, my life is actually pretty easy. It's actually pretty good. Even though maybe at the micro perspective, I'm worrying about the rent. Well, oh my goodness, that's a first world country problem. I'm worrying about rent. Like some people are worrying about, like, oh my goodness, like how am I supposed to get medicine from my mom who just got hit by a shrapnel or something from the bomb that exploded last night, right? So you just got to think about those scenarios where there is probably a worst case scenario out there that you do not know, and you should just be grateful that your family's alive. So there will you still can pull something out of thin air where you could still be grateful on your current situation, and which kind of ties back being selfish, right? For you to be able to help other people. Very counterintuitive, but I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's see this. And also, let go of energy suckers. So, another thing I wrote down, let go of energy suckers, it's because it's hard to say this, but I have a lot of friends that I had to let go just because they didn't, not particularly let go, but more of spend less time with, or just not even entertain them anymore, just because simply they are very complacent. You've tried to help them multiple times, you've tried to budge them to do something better, you're a goal driven person, but you know the saying, whoever you surround yourself with, you will become eventually the outcome or the result of it. Or show me your 5 friends, I will show you your future, and all these things. It's very cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. So that's the main reason why I had to let go or reduce like to 99, practically 95% of my waking hour or just spending time with them. That's the reason why I reduced my time on spending time with these people. Just because they are fucking energy suckers. Like, I love them to my death, like, I appreciate every moment that I've spent time with this particular people, a friend group. But you need to understand that for you to be able to grow, you need to have a new set of data sets that you need to accumulate. Meaning, you need a new group of people that will push you to the limits, that will keep you accountable, that are actually hungry as well, that wants to do better from themselves. You cannot help someone who don't want to be helped. You cannot help somebody who's always, hitting or making fun of whatever you desire to do. It's just not. They're just fucking sucking your energy away. It's just a waste of time. So why do you want to entertain those people? It's a fucking waste of time. Move on. So that's one of the things that I had to learn is I just needed to move on. It's and eventually it becomes fucking lonely. I'm gonna be honest. It becomes lonely. Like sometimes you're just like you just sit down and you're kind of like, man, I wish I have a girl. Man, I wish I have a friends group that I talk to. I'm grateful that I have my parents. I'm grateful there's God. I always pray to God. I'm grateful I have my brother. So eventually this year too, my relationship with my brother grew. Well, last year my relationship with my brother grew very much just because I had no one to hang out with. It's just like it was just me and my brother, right? And even though like per se that me and my brother lives in the same household, but he works. He used like last year he worked full time. He would always be out almost half of the day, and then he would go to the gym, and then eventually he had to go to bed because to work the next day. So we'd had like a couple 2 or 3 hours time frame where we just say hi to each other, or sometimes I just know he's on the other side of the room. So it felt very lonely because it was very difficult because we were working in the same company earlier this year, but it was very different too. He was working in a different station. He was working in a different department. So our nature of our job was different earlier this year. So yes, let go of energy suckers as well. And fourth one is love unconditionally. So this one is very big. Last year, I had a very close relative who miraculously survived a cancer. There was like a slim chance. There was about 3% chance that a person survives that type of cancer. And I'm grateful. I am grateful that she's still with us till this day. She's very strong. I admire her a lot. Actually visited her earlier this year as well. That's the main reason why I went to the trip to Singapore. And then, yeah, you never know when your loved ones will be gone. Express how much we appreciate them. So when I visited my family back mid year, this is probably 4 months in. Okay, before you guys think, okay, how were you able to go to Philippines, and how were you able to go back to this countries if you were broke? So here's the trick. I had a credit card, and there was points into it, so my entire trip was free. So that's how I was able to do that. And then I stayed with my relatives in Singapore. I stayed with my relative in Philippines as well. So that's how I was able to go to those trip earlier this year. But to be honest, I was still kind of broke when I went to the trip. But it gave me a refresher and a reflection, earlier this year to finish off the strong, that 2022 very strong. And the reason why I say love unconditionally, it's because you just never know when they're gonna go out, man. Like, you never know. You're not in control of somebody else's life. So whoever you hold dear, whoever you love, we're a lot of you guys who's going to be watching this is very young. um it's just like, have some appreciation with your parents. Maybe they're not very supportive of you, but you need to understand they're still your parents at the end of the day. At the end of the day, they're still your parents. Like, they're the one who gave birth to you. They're the one who took care of you, right? Growing up. So I think having that loving them unconditionally, because knowing at one point they're not going to be here forever. It's one of the most, those things that you're kind of just like, okay, makes sense kind of thing, right? So that's why I put it there. Or even just a significant other, if you're with somebody else right now, I think it's just very valuable to have a time with them. I know we're like we're like 24 minutes in, but I have three more for you guys, and then it's a wrap. Fifth one is, you have no limits. You can go further than you think. You have no limits. You can go further than you think. Earlier this year, I would have never thought. Well, to be fair, I envisioned this moment that I'd be making this much, and I feel like I'm actually barely making anything even this very moment. This entire thing was planned. The thing was, I not step by step. That's for sure. I'm just saying it was envisioned. I envisioned this moment, and I know there was a time that it was shaky earlier this year. It was a struggle. Like, is it gonna work out? Can I do this? And I realized is all those things that I've put myself into, that I voluntarily put myself in the back of the corner, back of the wall. Those are the things that made me who I am now. Those moments that just feel like nothing's working out. What the fuck? Like, is this even worth going? Should I go back to college? At one point I even considered it, right? Like, maybe that's not a bad idea. Like, the entire people that surrounded me kept telling, you need to go college, and then I realized if I conform on their ideology, then I will never become the best version of myself, and I will regret my entire life on following someone else's plan instead of my own plan. So you can create your own reality. You are your own sculpture. So you are your own creator of your own reality. You have to understand that the entire world is just a reflection of who you are, who you believe you are. And you can mold it however you want. You can mold it however you want. It's crazy to think about it, this analogy. Maybe it's too ethereal for a lot of you guys, but you need to understand that it is up to you at the end of the day on how you want to view the world. It is up to you, the decisions you make. It is up to you. If you're broke right now, if you're not in the situation you want to be, the reason why you're there is because you're supposed to be there. The reason of why you're there is the decisions that you've made along the way. It's accumulated decisions. Now you are now living the results of the decisions you've made, a few years back, a few months back, a few weeks back. This is now the outcome of the results you've taken from that very moment. This very moment, if you're watching this, the results speaks. Whatever action you've done in the past, this is the very moment you're supposed to be here. But do not be afraid. You feel like, okay, well, that kind of sucks, that outcome. You just need to understand that you are still in control, meaning you can change the future. You are in control of how your entire world is gonna work out. So that's the fifth lesson I've learned at 2022. You could literally mold whatever you want your entire life could be, and it's not going to be overnight. You just need to keep hammering it down precisely, meticulously. You just need to slowly shape it, and then eventually it becomes a reality. So, earlier this year, come on now, if someone else would be looking at my situation, they're like, yeah, this guy is not gonna be doing anything. So you just have to keep, building it brick by brick. Don't let another person's opinion, derail you from your entire goal, your entire vision. You need to have a clear set of lines to follow to actually achieve your goals. But you can do it. Nothing's impossible in this world. It shouldn't even be in your thoughts that maybe one day. It should be, what are the things that I need to do now for me to be able to get there? What are the actionable steps that I need to do now to get to where I want to go? Break it down from the top to bottom, from daily, from monthly, from quarterly, or even as you do yearly, quarterly, weekly, to daily, to every hour, every waking moment, every minute of your life. You can do that. Number sixth lesson I've learned last year was you have to move fucking fast. And you need a lot of volume if you're at 0. And in return, you get results. So obviously, you've heard this from Andrew Tate. Speed is the most important key to success and being able to fail. Alex Hormozi's told about this. Andrew Tate has told about this. A lot of the successful guys that you've thought about, they're like, what's the secret to success? What's the secret to this? How do I do this? Well, it's plain and simple. It's just volume. I'm the living proof that it's just volume. It's just consistency. You just don't need to quit. All you have to do is don't quit. That's it. And you have practically won the battle, 90% of the battle, if you've just never quit. Because eventually it's going to work out. It's not like, is it going to work out? It's more of, when is it going to work out? If I keep hammering to this, something is bound to hit and something's about to stick if you actually just keep throwing things out there. Volume. It's so important. But you need to implement it fast when you can actually still think about it. It's still vivid to your brain, to your mind. Your thoughts is still clear. Take action now. Write it down. Place it somewhere, right? Make sure that you can always envision it. Put it up somewhere. That's one thing that I've done. So I had a vision board that I've curated everything, every single moment. I look back at my goals last year, and then I set the goals at 2021, and then at 2022 I was like, I think it was already almost like at Q3 of 2022. It's like, I don't know if I can achieve this. And eventually this entire shit just happened. Like, the entire thing just happened. The only thing that I missed out is read 50 books. I didn't read 50 books last year. I think I was shy away from like 20 books around there. But to be fair, that was the only thing that I actually missed. But the rest, I've done a great job on achieving a lot of those things that I've written down from 21 to 22. So, yes, volume and speed. You just need to be fast. It's literally the implementation. You just need to cut down the time, the duration between the thinking to doing, because a lot of you guys would just spiral around, circle around, contemplate, and eventually your mind is just kind of like just frozen. It cannot make any decision just because it cannot function anymore. Like, you've made it so much, you ask these stupid questions, trying to solve problems in the future, and I understand this because I've done this before. But all you need to do is speed. If you have something, take it, implement it, and reiterate. Do it again. Repeat. The lines between those three things just needs to be very slim. From action, from speed, and then the results will come eventually. And then seventh one is, this is the last lesson I've learned. It's 33 minutes now, but this is the very last lesson I've learned at 2022 is burnout is not fucking real. Burnout is not real. It's a facade. It's fake. Before I explain why is that fake, let me just drink. 2022 too, I've been addicted to San Pellegrino sparkling water, and you know why. At first I was like, this shit is disgusting, and now I'm like literally addicted, and every food, every meal I eat, drink, I have some sort of sparkling water. And now, okay, why is burnout not real? There are only two reasons why burnout could be something that you're thinking about. The first one is you just don't have any clear guidelines on what you're doing. You just have no idea what you're doing, so you're burnt out. Second reason is you're just not interested anymore. Maybe that's why. You're just not interested anymore. Maybe it's time to move on. That's the only two main reasonable reason why I think burnout could be a potential play. But if you truly believe in what you're doing, you have 100% conviction on what you're doing, I have no idea why you have burnout. It doesn't make sense. It happens in all levels too, though. It's not just from the beginner standpoint. There was a video I saw Alex Ramosi posted. It's like a $8 billion guy or something like that running a $8 billion company, and the guy was burnt out. I didn't watch the full thing, but I believe it. So how did I battle it? How did I actually just remove burnout? And I would include even here like depression or like sadness and all those emotions. I think for me the biggest, I had to save this for the last because it's the most biggest thing that I've ever changed in my life at 2022 is my relationship with God. My relationship with God was phenomenal last year. It was insane how in touch I was with God. I was reading the Bible almost daily. The main thing I was reading was Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Psalms. Those are the three books that was on rotation. Proverbs heavily. Like, I was reading that every single day. Oh, it's chapter 2. It's it's January 7 now. Let me go read Proverbs chapter 7 for today. It changed my life. Being able to understand that God the message God gives to you, it comes in so many different forms and way. It could be with that random person. Maybe someone got mad at you. Maybe it's some particular thing that happened. God is communicating to you every single day. It's just up to you if you want to decide if you want to see it or not. So that's how I was able to go through the sadness, depression, all those things that a lot of people talk about. It's seeking God and prioritizing that I'm making sure that I'm walking to His path. A lot of people will make plans, but they will never consult God. For me, the reason why I feel like I'm moving in a pretty quick pay- pace, it's because I'm just following God's road that He has built upon me. Like, I feel like, let's say earlier this year, maybe the reason why I was not getting the results is God, I'm just getting derailed by God, what has set upon me. Maybe He's just giving me, is preparing me for this very moment. So God communicates in different ways, and I don't think pain, suffering, or anything like that is a bad thing either. I think it's actually beneficial for you. I think it's a very good thing to happen, and I'm grateful for the things that I've learned throughout this year. And yeah, I don't know if a lot of you guys are watching this, but that was the reason why I was able to pull out energy from thin air, from working 12-hour days, making sales calls, reviewing my calls, and still having energy to work out. And the next day, doing the same thing over again, and then doing that for the entire 2 months, day in and day out. And the weekends, still grinding and making sure I'm doing this. And eventually, now, of course, there are more times where I have more time where I could make videos like this for you guys, because the skill now is kind of fortified that I could have time to help other people out to do it. So that's how I actually kind of started, also focusing on helping a lot of my guys to make sure that they get to the position where they could master sales, they could get in a position where they could get into mastering the high ticket closing and all these things. So I was able to actually start giving more attention to the people who was at the same stage that I was last year, was because I had bottomless pit of energy. And the reason why I had a bottomless pit of energy that I could just pull out and kind of persevere through those times when I'm like, oh, I'm kind of tired right now, I can't do this, was because God is the main reason why I'm here. I feel like my main purpose was to just share to you guys too that I'm just walking God's path. That's it. Nothing will happen. I know nothing at all. I'm not a college graduate. I'm very decent at things. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the brightest. But I think if I just follow God's commandments, I follow the teachings of God, making sure that I have a good relationship with Him, my life is gonna be good. That's how I truly believe. But yes, that's like how my 7. There are so many things, but if I would concise it, those are the main things that I've learned last year, and I'm very grateful for it, and I'm looking forward for this year. Really excited for this year because I have a lot of things planned out for my people, for my guys, and I can't wait to see on how we're going to do this entire year, because I have so many things planned out. I'm so excited to share with you guys. So hope you guys have some value in this. That this is what I've learned in 2022, and I'm excited to do this for next year as well. But yes, if you guys found some value in this, let me know in the comment section below, or let me know what have you learned at 2022. What did you pick up, and what are you doing now this year? What are some of your goals for this year that you are moving towards with? But yes, my name is Elijah. I appreciate you watching this video. As always, become a creator, not a consumer. Make something today that will inspire you and others. Peace.